Mr. Braley for questions.
Mr. Lentz, I want to begin by commending you for sharing your personal story of loss with the committee here today. And that takes great courage. I would encourage you to share that story with the decision makers in Japan who are making the key decisions on product defects, product recalls, product retrofits, and failure analysis, because I think they need to hear that story from you.
Thank you.
I also want to commend you for commending the dealers in this country who have done an extraordinary job responding to your recalls and performing retrofits and tying up their staff all over this country. Some of them are my friends and my constituents. So I appreciate your recognition of the sacrifice they're making. I want to focus specifically on the comment that you made on page 2 of your statement, which you repeated here today, where you said, "We are confident that no problems exist with the electronic throttle control system in our vehicles. We have done extensive testing of the system and have never found a malfunction that caused unintended acceleration." I'm having a hard time squaring that with Toyota's 2002 Technical Service Bulletin, which noted that if customers complained of surging accelerators, reprogramming their engine, which you mentioned earlier, was a way to fix that problem, and that, sir, sounds like an electronic problem to me.
I don't know that for certain. Because I can't tell you if it's a software issue, if it's a transmission issue. There are a number of different reasons for surges. It could be a high idle up that takes place sometimes when air conditioning kicks on, as an example.
But reprogramming the computer would not be a mechanical fix,
No.
would it?
No.
And the other reality of that notice is that these 2002 to 2006 Camrys, which were the subject of that Technical Service Bulletin, you're not addressing the problem of the brake override retrofit with those models, are you?
Camry, I would have to look and see what year it goes back to. But we are going back in the case of Camry.
All right. Now, one of the things you also mentioned in your statement was that in December you asked Exponent, a world-class engineering and scientific consulting firm, to conduct a comprehensive, independent analysis of your electronic throttle control system with an unlimited budget. So let's talk just a little bit about that. Your counsel who's with you today is with a very well-known firm that defends not just Toyota but other auto manufacturers in product liability and crashworthiness cases all over the country. Mm-hmm. You agree with that,
yes.
Correct? And I am in no way impugning them for their role, but I find it very odd that when you were presented with this challenge of getting to the root of this problem, you went to your defense firm to go make the contact to arrange for this independent testing.
Again, our legal staff put together the request. I can tell you that that report in its entirety is going to be made public.
And we look forward to it.
So if there are issues in it, it's going to come out.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the company that you retained, Exponent, because they're a successor corporation to a company called Failure Analysis Associates, which has done extensive work for not just Toyota but all the big auto manufacturers and the motorcycle manufacturers on not only failure analysis but also providing expert witness testimony. You're familiar with that?
I'm not sure about the expert witness, but I know they have worked for other automotives in things like vehicle stability control and other things that have been developed that have been great for the industry.
Sure. And one of the things that I can tell you is that I have a copy of a deposition that their chief technical officer, Roger McCarthy, provided in 1998. And in that deposition, he testified that Failure Analysis Associate, then known as Accenture, received between $30 and $40 million a year for the work they did for the auto industry. Were you aware of that?
No.
Well, isn't it true that Toyota has paid them over $1 million in the past for the work that they've done?
Exponent?
Yes.
I do not know.
But would you be willing to provide us with documentation of what Toyota has paid to Accenture, not just in relation with this study that's being done, or in relationship with Mr. Gilbert's follow-up analysis, but over the period of time that these recalls that are being considered or have been issued have been performed? Can you do that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would make a formal request that we get as much information as we can from Toyota International, Toyota North America, documenting the financial relationship between their company and Accenture or its predecessor failure analysis associate, not just in relationship with the study that was done that's been the subject of this
That's fine.
testimony?
We'll do that.
All right. Now, one of the things that you talked about was the fact that you were present during some testing that was done at Accenture.
Exponent.
Exponent, yes. And is that something that you were part of when there was filming that was done to document the testing?
No. I just wanted to go see how they test. I've never been in a vehicle that's gone into fail-safe mode. So
Okay.
I wanted to understand what it feels like from the consumer standpoint, what fail-safe feels like as you're driving down the road.
Were you involved in any way in the analysis in terms of defining the scope of that project or how the results would be submitted?
No. The only portion I was involved in was that when that research becomes available in its entirety, it would be made public. It would be made available to Congress and NHTSA.
And did Toyota make a direct relationship for the performance of those services with Exponent, or was that something handled by Bowman and Brook?
I don't know.
Because when you indicate in your statement that you requested them to do a comprehensive independent analysis with an unlimited budget, I'm just wondering whether there are documents that would define the scope of that request and the terms under which Exponent would be compensated for what they were performing. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of it, but I'm sure it must exist.
Okay, then I would also request that, Mr. Chairman, and I would yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Braley.